Mrs. President, thank you for having you for the interview. It's the EU Summit, and the enlargement of new, maybe potential European members was on the topic today. What is the message you want to send from this summit here in Granada?
Well, first of all, the European political community was extremely useful, bringing approximately 50 heads of state and government from the EU and neighbouring European countries that have an aspiration to join our big European family. These experiences are very valid because you get to have everybody in one place expressing their doubts, their concerns, but ultimately their hopes and dreams. And this is what I focused on when I had an exchange with the Prime Ministers and Presidents this morning at the beginning of the Informal European Council, because as we prepare for what will hopefully lead to the next step in the path or perspective for Ukraine, Moldova, let's see what happens with a number of Western Balkan countries, in December, we should be ready too. And we should always think of enlargement as one that makes Europe more secure and more prosperous.
You're saying more secure. That is one of the topics what was yesterday discussed. Also today, you mentioning Ukraine and Moldova. In 1 month, the Commission of the EU will present their reports for those two countries. You mentioned also the Western Balkans. The countries there are afraid that they are like waiting for such a long time that nothing will change. So how you will build a bridge, like really to overcome this point of long-term like negotiations with any end?
Well, you are completely right, and they are completely right, because when prime ministers or presidents of these countries, they tell us we run campaigns with the hope of Europe, how can you justify, especially to our younger generation, year after year, that at the end, non-decision or kicking the can down the road, postponing indefinitely. So what we will have over the next few weeks are crucial. And if the reports are positive in different regards, every candidate country has its own path, so you cannot put them together, but never forget anyone, is that you have to, once the conditions and criteria are met and fulfilled, that we need to be ready to take the next step, because otherwise we'll leave a vacuum that will be filled by someone else.
Someone else, maybe China, maybe Russia. Russia was also a topic because of the war in Ukraine. Yesterday there was again an attack on a village in Ukraine, and facing also that in the European Union the support is getting lower for Ukraine. That's what I had the feeling yesterday, and expressions also of like some presidents. How you want to make sure that actually the support which Ukraine needs at that time will still continue that way, and on which it is now, and which role European Parliament, EU can play here?
Well, you mentioned the decrease in support. If you look at what happened earlier this week on Monday, every single European foreign minister of every member state went to Kiev and expressed full support. And that is one that we cannot lose sight of. When President Zelensky yesterday spoke to the plenary, so the whole of there was a unanimous understanding of what you could see with a country that is fighting a war. And the President made it very clear, if it was not us, it would be one of you. And then you would need also our help, and we are asking you for that help. In my talks with President Zelensky, I expressed commitment, and here there is a huge majority in the European Parliament to continue to support. The European Union is the largest financial supporter of Ukraine, but also militarily we need to step it up, because otherwise we will not see an end to this war where peace, proper peace on Ukraine's term, will finally be on our continent again.
How to address also the disappointments and also the disagreements in the European Union? There's Poland, for example, which don't want to send more weapons. You have Slovakia, which like now had elections a few days ago. Maybe the new president there will like not support the, Ukraine at that level how it was before, and I can mention others. So what EU is doing here to solve this problem?
I would rather focus on the fact that even if in the past there were statements that would conflict the majority view, we have had 10 packages of sanctions that were adopted at unanimity. Each and every member state accepted. So I would continue to hope that each country will continue to do its part. And the countries you mentioned, one, we will have to see the outcome of the government negotiations, and two, we will need to see the outcome of the elections in a few days, and also an understanding of the fact that actually procurement and funding is still flowing between those countries.
There were also other, like one last question, please. There were also like other topics on the agenda, like the crisis between Azerbaijan and Armenia, Kosovo, Serbia, but also like reforms in the European Union for getting this enlargement programs done. So where is the homework for EU? Is it solving budget questions, the vote and the veto votes in the European Council, for example? So on which you are like, on which things you are like focusing now, the reform process?
So the European Parliament has been very clear. We need to at least start a conversation. The reality is we haven't yet. We talk about potential enlargement without realizing that what the structures we currently have will not work if we grow. But I would look at it from a positive perspective. I would say, where is the energy union? Where is, after the pandemic, the health union? Where are other things that can be better solved, better addressed at a European level, rather than a member state level being put together as part of the new European geostrategic autonomy that we talk about so much? And to do that, we need to start a conversation. I'm very happy that President Michel today said that this will actually feature in all our discussions in the European Council, because we need to go to the European elections on next year on the 6th to the 9th of June with a proper plan and one which gives us a clear vision of where we want to be in 5 years' time.
A lot of things to do. Thank you for the interview.